Hi and welcome to The Practice Gap, the podcast for closing the gap between the practice you have and the one that you want. I'm Elizabeth, a chiropractor, a business owner, coach and entrepreneur on a mission to help you move from frustration and overwhelm to clarity, focus and joy in practice. 3, 2, 1, yeah. Hi, Hans Kristian Hvam, all the way from Denmark. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Yeah, it's not that far, but still quite a way. Quite honored to be here today, following in the footsteps of other giants that I've listened to in your podcast.
Yeah, I've been super lucky to have really wonderful people here.
Well, I don't think it's luck, you just attract them.
Well, could you start by telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, I'm Norwegian and I've been a chiropractor for 28 years, this 9th of June. And I've been working in Norway for 15 years, and then I moved to Denmark and I've been there for the other 13 years. I'm a graduate from Palmer in Davenport, and when I came to Norway, I was one of the 6 guys that started this Klinikk for Alle, and we worked that up, and it's a pretty big thing now these days, I understand.
Yes, it's huge. It's really changed.
Exactly. But I haven't been a part of that since I moved to Denmark. And there I started up from scratch, which I felt was the best thing I ever done, because in Norway it was only, at the end it was more business than being a chiropractor. And when I started up in a little town of 12,000 people...
What's the town called?
The town's called Lystrup. It's outside of Aarhus, which is the second largest city in Denmark. It's about 380,000 people, but I'm about 20 minutes outside of that. So, of course, I attract some patients from downtown and all the surroundings there. And then I started up from scratch, all by myself. I just had my Gonstead set, cervical chair, pelvic bench and a knee chest, and a crappy location because I didn't know how that was going to go. But it took like half a year, and then I had a pretty decent practice, and I had that since. And now I have 2 chiropractors employed and 2 physiotherapists and myself on full time. So it's going pretty good now.
That's been quite a journey. So what makes you say that was the best decision you ever did?
Because I got back to the roots again, to being a chiropractor. You know, I only had my hands and I needed to treat people. And I always loved being a chiropractor. That was my passion and dedication, you know. And then I could fix people again and not only doing business. And that was the great thing for me.
What inspires you now that you've been a chiropractor for 28 years? What is it you love about being a chiropractor?
Personally, the gratification and satisfaction that I get every day by delivering a good adjustment, you know.
Yeah.
Just say, because you know if you've done a good job or a bad job with the patient, and still delivering those good adjustments still gives me a lot of pleasure.
Yeah.
And then I had a lot
and
of...
it's also, I guess, the feedback after giving a
your
good
ego is massaged every day a little bit, you know. Yeah, of course. And I have 2 employed chiropractors that I employ, and they are like 2 years out, and one is just out of school. And I enjoy teaching them things because they come out of school a little bit frustrated. You know, they don't really know what they are or what they're going to do. They, of course, have an idea of it, and they're so high on the academics. And as we learned back in the old days for us old geezers, you know, chiropractor stands on 3 legs. It's like philosophy, art, and technique. And they're all with the philosophy,
art and science.
Art and science,
yes.
Yeah. They're so high on the science.
But I do like your trying.
Art and technique, you know.
I was thinking about that. That doesn't sound bad.
That sounds good. But they're so strong up on the science, and when we came home, we may be too high up on the technique and the philosophy. So there needs to be a balance in those things, you know. And so they think they can learn manipulation in 2 months, and that's it. They haven't sunken up for them. It's an art. You need to practice every day. I thought I'd spent 10, 15 years before I was happy with my adjustments. And then I started more or less learning new things. So today, because there's so many beautiful chiropractic techniques out there, you have all kinds of nice techniques that you can use in your little chest of tools. But you know when and how to use them. That's the thing.
So what I'm getting from what you're saying, you concentrated on smaller part of basic techniques
Exactly.
in the beginning for the first 15 years?
Definitely. Because, you know, we talked about the power of the adjustment. If you haven't felt that, you know what an adjustment can do for you, and you see what it does for the patients, it doesn't give you much value to deliver adjustments or manipulations. Then you start doing all kinds of other stuff because you want to make the patient happy for some reason, you know. But if you have understood that an adjustment is pretty powerful when it's delivered at the right place at the right time, then you want to achieve that too with your patients, and then you need to practice until you're good enough. And so you hear people coming out of school now saying, no, we can't palpate because it's not specific, and you don't need to be specific in your adjustment. I never heard a successful chiropractor say that you don't need to be specific in your adjustments, you know, never ever. And if you examine the spine and use all the modalities that you learned, like static palpation and motion palpation and visualization and all the other stuff you can use, muscle testing from AK, which is also a nice technique, which is chiropractic, by the way. Then you have a lot of tools to examine the spine and the joints and the muscles and the nerves. And then you can apply some nice treatments to the patient to adjust them. And not only an osseous adjustment. When you adjust somebody, you adjust the muscle tone, you adjust the nervous tone. You to the neurochiropractors, everything happens centrally. You know, so a lot of good stuff out there you need to learn. You can't learn it all in school.
No, so that's the good thing. So the learning never
never ends. When I get a new employee in my clinic, I spend 1 hour every Wednesday for a year teaching them technique, just to learn them how to do it the way I think it's supposed to do, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in your own clinic, you're the boss.
Exactly, that's how it works. That's
That's the beauty.
But I mean, I've been a very lucky guy. I think I was also I was a gondroid, to be honest with you, when I came out of school.
And for you in the audience who doesn't know what a gondroid is, it's somebody who's really, really into the Gonstead technique and the Gonstead system.
Exactly. But applied in the correct way. Anyways, so I was a little sad about it. I never met Gonstead, but when I think about it now, I was real lucky that I can meet those guys and learn from those guys that were taught by him. And when I came home, I actually worked in a clinic with 2 guys that also worked with him. So I had a very good background there to learning at least the osseous adjustment that Gonstead uses, which I think is a very good way of adjusting, you know, spine and some extremities. And then there are 2 other chiropractors, or some other chiropractors that are real good in other stuff, and you need to learn from them. And then you should go and observe, as a new chiropractor, use time observing other people and see what they do.
So you're saying the big thing that shaped you was that you got to a clinic with some really, really excellent chiropractors.
Yeah, because for me, chiropractic was, maybe I was a little narrow-sighted. For me, chiropractic was osseous adjustment. That was what we did. You know, we didn't do much else. But you see, because I was in a school that was the thing. In other schools, would you learn maybe more of, Graston and SOT,
and it probably changed.
That would change your way of thinking about, because chiropractic is so diverse, you know.
And also, I think what really shapes you in technique-wise is like not only what school you go to, but the time. Like 28 years ago, this was the focus, and 15 years, there's something else that's focused. So you it depends on who your teachers are and how the curriculum is set, and especially what people are there who are influencing you.
What kind of peers you are mingling with, you know, and you have interactions with them. But still, the body hasn't changed that much. So there are some gold standards in how you should treat and not treat. You know?
For somebody who's just out of school, like the ones you've had, the 2 chiropractors in your clinic, how long do you feel? You spent 1 hour every Wednesday to teach them technique. When do they start to get good?
Oh, it takes many years, many years, because that's why we call it the practice. We practice every day, you know, and you need to have a mindset that your next adjustment is going to be better than the adjustment you did before.
Oh, that's a nice sentence. So
yeah, exactly.
You should the next adjustment should always be better than, or the next treatment should always be better than the one.
And you need to move the focus from yourself over to the patient, because in the beginning you always focus on, am I standing like this? Is my hand correct? Where's my contact point? Is my angle this and that? And then you just whack the patient, you know. But then you need to come to a point where everything is automatically done, you know it's correct, and then you start feeling the patient. You start to feel, is the patient ready for this adjustment? You know, is this relaxed? Are they breathing? What are they doing? Do they feel tense? And then you time the adjustment, and that's the magic of delivering a good adjustment, is the timing. You know, because everything you need to know in advance. Yeah,
so the timing is that little second when you're kind of with at once you are with patient and kind of you're one person.
Yeah, exactly.
You are one entity.
Exactly. You need to have contact with the patient body and what they're doing, and then deliver at the right timing. So the timing is essential.
So the timing for a good adjustment is, you have Alle, or who was on the podcast a while ago, he talked a lot about visualization. So then you have the visualization and then also the timing and to be with.
Yeah, because visualizing, I think what it means with that is the way you feel that you need to move this bone, to use that expression.
Yeah.
But that's nice if you have that, but you need to time that motion, that correct vector. You need to, the force you're applying to this joint or this vertebra, you need to time it correctly. Otherwise, it won't work.
And then then comes in all the non-verbal conversation, how you converse non-verbally with the patient. It's also been a theme up here. And
so
then
you have to have a focus shift from yourself, and that takes years. Before you know, I'm standing correctly now, it's my back like this, la la la, you know how it is when we started out. And then at the moment you see, okay, everything you do, the setup and everything is cool, and then you need to time it, you need to feel the patient. Is the patient relaxed? Is the patient ready to achieve this adjustment? Because your stance and everything, your setup can be perfect, but if the patient is tensing up, you get nowhere.
It kind of follows the recipe for any successful thing you do in life. You need to change the focus from yourself to the persons out there. And then you have, in the beginning, you need to focus on yourself to get the knowledge and the skills, and then you have to focus outward, or else nobody you're not going to be able to connect with anyone.
No, that's how it works. And it takes time.
It takes time.
It takes a lot of time. You need to be motivated to do it. So that's why you need to believe that actually let's talk about the osseous adjustment, it actually does something positive for this patient. And then you need to have some dedication to learn it and how to deliver it at the right way.
What are some advice to the younger chiropractor who came out of school, they're struggling, it's difficult. It is difficult.
Yes, it is.
And I think that's probably why people start to do other things, because it is difficult to give a good adjustment. What should they do? If you are in a clinic where people don't really have time for you, and how are you going to grow as an adjuster?
Exactly. You have to sit down with yourself and make up with yourself what you want to do and what you want to be. If you want to be a chiropractor that gives a good conversation, explains everything, and gives some exercises, well, then that's what you're going to do. But if you want to be a good adjuster and treat the patients in a good way, then you need to seek people that you can learn from and be humble. Be real humble, because you can always be better. I was in my my residency supervisor.
Yes, supervisor.
Yeah, he told me two things that I remember. He said, with a full stomach, you get stupid in your head. So always be a little hungry. And then
that's a nice. I like that one. I haven't heard that one. I love that one.
And then he said that the day you think you know everything in chiropractic, quit being a chiropractor. So always seek new knowledge. I see, I talk to many good chiropractors, and I seek them, and I still go and observe chiropractors, even though I've been working for 20 years. And I see they used to do all kinds of stuff, and they combine everything. And some are real strict and do the whole thing, but they still have success. And that's, I guess, because they're dedicated in what they do. And they have an attitude that says, I believe in what I'm doing, so the patients believe that here. Because I think the patient doesn't really care what you do to them as long as they get better.
You need to be a nice guy, and then you have to care for them and
fix them.
Yeah.
Because
or else they will
life
leave
is
you.
about expectations. And when you come to a chiropractor, you have an expectation of this person is going to help me. And if you don't do it, you fail. So they seek something else or do something else. So
and that window of change is not very big.
No.
The patient has to feel some change within a very short amount of time, or else they're going to be unhappy.
Exactly. I say to my workers that the patient has, even though how difficult the case is, they need to see some positive change within 3 visits. Otherwise, we need to do something else. But I like to see a change, a positive change in every visit. So I do a lot of testing. I do a lot of things besides constant now,
What's your favorite thing? I know now that you've been, after 15 years, you started to know you've been really good at exploring different techniques and different things and different modalities. As I've seen a lot of really good chiropractors, they really open up to learn after they know something really well. What are your favorite things?
My favorite things was when I started thinking about soft tissues. We need to think about those too.
yeah, that's a good one.
Maybe I should start touching muscles.
Very good.
And then the first thing I did was taking some classes in connective tissue treatment, That was really interesting, thinking about how connective tissue actually is a living thing, and it contracts and it relaxes, and we're basically wrapped in it, And then, it's not chiropractic, but I took some osteopathy classes in soft tissue because they know a lot of good. There was this guy called Leon Scheitau. He's dead now, by the way, rest in peace. But still, he was a real boring teacher, but he had a lot of good information. So I learned a lot of cool stuff with light touch and soft tissue manipulation. And then I've looked into a little bit of muscle testing and a little bit of, not that SOT I had as an elective, so I did that a little bit too. And then the activator protocol can be real cool in some, but you need to know when to use the different modalities. I do needlework, I do taping, I do a little bit of Graston, I have focused shockwave therapy, I have cold laser therapy. But I don't use everything on every patient. You need to know when to use it and when not to use it, so it's highly effective. That's basically what it is.
So that's a big toolbox.
Yeah, you have a toolbox there, but you can't use the same tool for everything, But
what's the last thing you learned that was really interesting or fun?
That was kind of a recap of something I learned with the TMJ. We have a real good friend, Alle Torstensen, that is real good on TMJ and teaching it. And he was in Denmark here for like a month ago. And then I took that class, and that kind of reopened my eyes again a little bit of looking to the TMJ in kind of different things. Because the thing in chiropractic, and what I think chiropractic is very separate from many other healthcare professions, is that we don't always look at the problem where the patient has pain. We look at the problem in all other places. And then we examine the patient and we fix what we find. We don't fix the symptoms. And I really love that approach, that you can adjust the shoulder and people gets better in the pelvic and vice versa. So, and then you develop as a clinician, and then you can put two and two together much more easy than you did in the beginning, because in the beginning you basically follow the protocols that you learned in school.
And you actually, but the protocols, you need actually to follow them and know them, and you have to have them inside.
Exactly. But then the thing is that and I think also for us a little bit, you come out of school and you're very focused on structural diagnoses. You need to give a diagnosis of this is that, and this is this, and this is that. But then you kind of forget about the total function, the functional diagnoses. I mean, the fun thing is that you can have a C2 that is locked or subluxated or stuck or whatever to call it in these days, and they can give you all kinds of cool symptoms. It can give you headache, can give you dizziness, can give you pain behind the ear, can give you shooting pains down your trapezoid muscle down to your shoulder. It can give you all kinds of cool symptoms. That's same C2 subluxation. So therefore, it's very important, I feel at least, to examine the whole spine, examine the whole body, and adjust what you find and fix what you find. Because I remember there was in the 90s, there we were only supposed, I don't know how it is now, you were only supposed to treat where the patient had symptoms. So if the patient came with low back pain, you can only treat that area. And if you touch the neck, woo-ha, that was bad. You couldn't do that. But maybe that was the thing that need to be done to fix that patient's low back pain problem. And then you shouldn't do it. That's bogus. Yeah. So treat what you find.
Treat what you find.
And you need to examine the spine and make also a functional diagnosis of the patient, not only think about structure. Of course.
Let's go back a little bit to observing. When was the last time you observed a chiropractor?
Because of, what do you call it, Corona and stuff, we haven't been able to move around that much. So,
but in your total lifetime,
when I was a student, I spent all my vacations observing chiropractors. And when I worked multidisciplinary with other chiropractors, I observed them when I had the time. And then I've taken time when I travel. I always visit somebody I know, and then I can go and observe them. Maybe for half a day, and then we can talk together. I attend seminars still, technique seminars, because I think I do everything right, but sometimes you need to be corrected. You can always pick up something. Even though you heard the same thing like 50 times, there's always a little thing you can think, wow, okay, maybe, right, I need to see if I do that right, or correct yourself in some way.
And I think that's a big change from when you've been working for a while. I love to go to a seminar that I like, where I know the stuff really well, because then I know, first of all, you get confirmation that you actually know what you need to know, and then you pick maybe up 2 or 3 things, and it completely changes your practice, and it's
Same
so
thing.
worth
As
it.
I took that TMJ seminar with Atle here for a month ago, it kind of reopened my eyes of looking more at that joint, because that was pretty kind of forgotten, because you know so much. And I don't know, when I go to seminar, I went to some taping seminars, and the next 2 weeks I taped everybody, and now I maybe tape 3 times a month, maybe,
Yeah.
So you get really eager at doing it, and then you kind of forget a little bit, and then you implement it when it's time for it again. So
And also, I think going to seminars is also about rediscovering things
exactly.
that you knew before, and then you kind of forgot.
Yeah, but for the new students, be curious and don't judge. I mean, I was too judgmental when I came out. There was only only one thing that was the right thing to do, and the rest was crap, basically. And I was young and was going to save the world, but you mature a little bit and get a little bit more humble. So be open-minded more.
What are good things for students who are still in school? What should they do?
I think they should practice what they learn, because it's not something you just read in the book and have to remember it for the exam. You need to build motor skills, to lay down pathways. You need to you basically need to learn a motor skill. It's like if you want to go to gymnastics and jump over something, you need to do that a couple of 100,000 times, to be good at it. And the same thing with chiropractic. It's a skill, and it's an art that you need to perform on the other person's body, and that needs to be pretty damn close to perfect.
Yeah. What are for the younger people that you have in your clinic now? What are some things you have learned from them?
Oh, a lot of they are so sharp on diagnosing, and they know so many diagnoses I never heard about.
I second that. I'm so impressed with all this.
Yeah, I mean, whoa! It's like, really? Yeah, and they have been exposed more to the secondary part of the healthcare system than I was. They have been interned in hospitals, on orthopedic and the neurologic and rheumatologic departments, so they know a lot of stuff. Oh yeah, and so they can impress me on that. But still, I instruct them in the way I think they should do things, and then if they fail, maybe in a cervical chair, which is pretty tough sometimes, they come and get me, and I do it for them, and I show them, and I look at them, and then we practice it together. And then we also have like meetings where we just discuss things, kind of, and then they need some motivation sometimes. So we have some motivational speaks with them, talks once a week sometimes, and we have a very open way. They work with me, not for me. So we need to be a team. And we are here for the patient's sake. The patients are not here for us,
What are some qualities that you can see early on, or when you decide to say yes for someone?
There's three things I look for. 3 things.
Yeah.
Their dedication, and their motivation, and their attitude.
So dedication, motivation, attitude.
Yeah, attitude. They need to be, not that they have the bad attitude, a badass thing, but they need to believe in what they're doing. They need to want to be chiropractors. And
how, if I own a clinic, what is some good thing? What should I look for? Or like, how should I know if they're motivated or really dedicated? Like, what are some things I can look for?
First of all, they should seek you. And when they seek you, you can probably read their curriculum vitae and whatever they send into you and say, okay, I can take this to an interview. And then you can see the curiosity when they come in. And if they have an attitude, they'll start asking you questions, and about things. And I just let them ramble on and then answer. And then I see how motivated they are to be a chiropractor. So I talk to them and I ask them about stuff, and then if they answer, but I think you can learn manipulation in 2 months, that's a fail. I'm sorry. But and then I ask them what they have been interested in school, and then they say, oh yeah, I've been really interested in talking to people and giving exercises and nutritional advice. That's all real good. But still, what I want to hear is what they want, that they want to be chiropractors in my way of being a chiropractor. And that's that they still want to treat the patients. They want to adjust the patients. And of course, I realize that everybody needs some advice on exercises and all kinds of stuff. But I mean, the chiropractic treatments, and I don't not only mean osseous adjustments. I mean, you can adjust the people in many ways, But that should be their main focus in learning and be good at it. To learn techniques that you can use to make patients better. More or less.
I've also noticed one of the questions I ask when I interview people to work here is, why did you choose to become a chiropractor?
Exactly.
And that's super interesting.
Oh yeah,
And especially, I love those who have had a really life-changing meeting with the chiropractic, like myself, or else I wouldn't.
Same to me.
Yeah.
Because I've had people for interview that said, I tried to become a medical doctor, but I didn't make it twice, and then I just want to be a chiropractor.
Yeah. Actually, there are some who actually turn out to be excellent chiropractors. But still,
you need to have some way to sort them out, and
then also I work in a multidisciplinary clinic, and I see some of the osteopaths. They have the same. They have a feeling with they had a life-altering experience with massage therapy or osteopathy, and they're wonderful because the passion is so big because it changed them.
But osteopathy is kind of a strange thing because we had osteopaths in Norway for a long, long time. And in Denmark, when I work, osteopathy is the new thing in Denmark. Yeah. It's like the news. And the thing is that my thing about how I feel about physiotherapy in Denmark now is that they give the patient a nice, real good talk and they give them exercises and that's it.
The hands-on is gone.
The hands-on is gone. And there's so many beautiful skills and hands-on things in physiotherapy also that's going to be forgotten. And the thing is now that I think there is a wave now of physiotherapists that still want to treat patients. They take the osteopathy education, like weekend classes. I think there's some from Belgium coming up and teaching them. And then it can start being, then they're suddenly osteopaths, but they're physiotherapy, but they're outside the regular physiotherapy thing, and they can do whatever they want now. And they can take they're not regulated by the government, so they can take a good fee for what they do. And then they use osteopathy. So osteopathy is up and coming in Denmark now. And osteopathy is as old as chiropractic, It started out and was still in the late 80s also. And naturopathy, which is real interesting.
Is there any naturopaths
one that I know
in Denmark?
And she's Norwegian, yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And naturopathy is also a thing that it's kind of came out of the early chiropractic, very early though, before the school was established. Yeah, so it's only one naturopath in Denmark.
That's interesting.
Which I know of.
Well, Hans Kristian Hvam.
That's me.
But if I should sum up a little bit, I am so lucky to have you stay for another podcast. So I'm very excited about that. If I'm going to wrap up and sum up a little bit, we have been talking about really how to become a good chiropractor. You have to focus on your technique.
Well, you're basically your skills.
Your skills. Your skill set. It doesn't like all the kind of skill set. And It takes about 15 years to get good
I'm a
at
slow
something.
learner, maybe.
Somebody said 7, so you might be slow. No, you are not slow learner. And you need to, after you're done focusing on yourself, you need to focus on the patient and the timing of an adjustment or any kind of modality. The timing is the most important. Yeah. When is the patient ready for adjustment? When is it ready for Graston? When is it ready for anything? Whatever. That makes the really successful chiropractor. And then you never finish learning.
Never.
The
ever.
day you are done finishing learning, you should quit.
Go with pension, yeah.
You should quit. And there was another thing you said that was...
if you have a full stomach, your head will get stupid.
Yes, if you have a full stomach. If you have a full stomach, you will get stupid. So stay hungry.
Stay hungry, yeah.
Good. And you need to observe other chiropractors. You will always learn, and you can do it your whole life.
Exactly.
Start as a student and keep going to seminars and keep...
See what they do, but most of all, what they're saying to the patients.
Yeah.
And go and see good chiropractors. Doesn't matter if they use a technique you don't like, but see how they communicate. Communication is a big thing.
Yeah, and observe chiropractors, observe other professions,
exactly.
Of course, and just see what they're doing that you can pick up just to become a better chiropractor.
Exactly.
And the last thing, make your next
adjustment better than the last one.
Yeah, so the whole consultation, the treatment the next one will always get a little bit better.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Hans Kristian.
Thank you for having me.
And you'll be back.
Thank you.
Bye.